Hello, everyone. This is Biz Chicks TV. This is the place where you can find tips and tools to help you do business better. We're here to help you run a profitable business that's fun to run and to take the hassle out of your hustle. And today we're here with Coach Karen Fern, all the way from Toronto, Canada. Woo! We want to give a shout out to my partner and friend, Miss Francine Gregory, real estate entrepreneur and tech diva. She's on the road today, and we just want to say, hey, safe travels. In addition to that, we want to welcome you into the show because today we are on a trail to find out how to increase sales. And Coach Karen has been helping us with that during the month of June. So if you're looking to make the other half of the year profitable, you want to get your pencils out, guys, and make sure you capture all of these beautiful nuggets that Coach Karen's going to share with us. With that, I introduce to some and present to others Coach Karen Fern, your money mindset coach, all the way from Toronto, Canada.
Thank credit intro, Terry.
How you doing, beautiful? All is well?
All is well. All is well. It's
Good.
nice and warm out. The sun is hot.
Mm.
Woo! Yeah. So all this month, as Terry said, we're talking about sales. And we talk about targeting last week and this week, and we talk about the why, and you need to write out a detailed description because you need to know who you're targeting. And sometimes you have, when people, I want to answer this question because sometimes people ask me, well, I got a lot of people in mind. Well, you might have a lot of people in mind, but you're going to have to test them out if you're not quite sure you haven't sold to yet and see which ones fit the people you really truly want to serve. Don't compromise on the people you want to serve. Because once you understand that, when you decide to hire, if you grow your business to hire employees or even subcontractors, you know the kind of people you want to work with. And you don't take people because or somebody told you to. That never leads to anything good. So you want to be able to build this in. It's a builder. You just have to build on it. That's what it is. And sales is really a bunch of things that we build upon. Last week I mentioned, I said, and this is not all, but these are the things I'm going to be covering, which is selecting your target market, crafting your message, which is what we're doing today, nurturing your leads, reaching prospect with advertisement and all that sort of stuff. And this half an hour, I can't go into deep detail, but I do go into the surface. I'm scratching the surface and you guys take it and start with that. And if you want to talk with me, then we can go any further. So today we're talking about crafting your message, and we're going to cover what did you want to learn since, what do you want to learn about that? Like, what is it you'd like to learn how to do this? And if you come in and find us halfway, you want to probably go back and listen to the rest, so that you can understand the whole thing. And I appreciate you for popping in at any time, but just if that happened, so you know. And how you can make it juicy and enticing for your prospect, because you have to. And how would you get your message across? So you got to know these things. You got to know what it is. And the only way we believe it or not, is testing. You might love Facebook, but Facebook might be the place for you. And might be the place for you to run the ads, but not necessarily the place for you to find people organically. But that doesn't mean you're not on Facebook. And sometimes people get worried. So I'm going to talk a little bit of social media. Sometimes people get worried that, I'm doing all this content building, but nobody's buying my stuff. Well, you got to understand about the message. You got to know that if I'm posting stuff for just myself is great, but I have to have an end game when I post stuff, and I have to willing to do a 30-day stretch. There's no easy fix with this. You want a 30-day stretch, knowing and testing and going back and forth. So I like to tell people, to craft your message, you really should sit down and write a story. And some people say, well, Karen, I don't know how to write a story. You know how to write a story. And if you don't know, get a simple kids book and see how the story line works. There's always a hook that has the kids. There's something that gets them excited. There's something that keeps them going. That's what content building is about. Now, when you write this big story, you're going to take pieces of it because you don't want to give people the whole plot of one day. And you break them up into bite-sized people that people can resonate with. And those are the people who's going to be your people. The people who, this is for the people who have never served anybody and they are trying to figure it out. But for the people who have served people, you need to go back and pick out your 3 best people And if you don't have that much, you're one girl or gal, guy or girl that really was cheering you on and doing all that sort of thing. Now, even if they didn't buy from you, but you like their spirit and you like their jest and you like how they help boost you, that might still be somebody you want to look into as your ideal client. So your message will pull her and the people like her, because that's what content creation is about, pulling people. Listen, this has been around forever. It might have, now we're writing it online, but content creation is when you speak to people. Content creation is when you send an email. And sometimes people don't realize how wide it is, because everything is coming from you and you're producing it, either because you read an article, either because you're taking stuff that was spoken to you before and you see how it fits in with you. But it gets scary when people hear they have to write it because, like, what do I write? What do I say? And that's in a class of its own. You know, people teach that class by itself because it could be real intense.
Exactly. And if you're having trouble with that, you might want to talk to Lawana Parker, one of our other biz chicks, who will help you craft your message in a succinct way, because she does training in public speaking.
All right.
Mm-hmm. And storytelling.
Right there you got somebody to go to, because it's ready. You know, when you're getting into the crafting of it, you start realizing how it's not as hard as you make it seems. And everything seems hard when you haven't achieved it yet, or you had some bumps in the road on your journey to achieving. So if you're still in the bumps, you're like, I can't do this, but it's not true. You could really do it. But you're going to have to lean in really hard and buckle down. Listen, I always like to say to people, if you want to get something done, think of the 90-day stretch. I know you want it done yesterday, but really, truly think about that 90-day stretch, because it just gives you time to test. And in your testing, what I find in testing, you always find a little bit of money, a little bit of dribbles always coming when you're doing testing, because there's always the people who will poke their heads in and want something from you right away. Now, they mightn't stay on long, but they will give you this little orange juice, if you will, that you can sip while you were drinking a whole bunch of water. So if you were doing 30 days on Facebook and Instagram, let's say you pick two of them and you were doing both things for the 30 days, you will see a difference. First thing you see is how you feel. You really had to pay attention to how you start feeling, because you're building your confidence and you start feeling better. And then you can see how you get to branch off to where is next. But you want to give it that first 30 days someplace so you can really measure and count. I'm a big believer in measuring. If you don't measure something, you don't know where you're at. You really have to measure it. You got to write it down. You got to say, I did a video and nobody showed up. I did a video and 3 people showed up. You know, I did a video and 5 people showed up, but 2 people asked questions. 3 was interactive. Like, you want to keep that understanding for yourself first. You really want to know.
We want to give a shout out over there to Cecilia, watching on Facebook. How you doing, Cecilia? She is such a super fan. We just really enjoy knowing that Cecilia is here rooting us on. How you doing, Cecilia?
And so you want to stick to it. So whatever time you give yourself, whatever timeline, and at the end of the 30 days, just sit back and have a go at your notes and see what you have accumulated, and then move on to the next step. Don't get paralyzed if it didn't work out as well as you thought it would have. Don't be frustrated if it didn't go as well as you wanted to. And don't get overly excited. This part sometimes we're forgetting to mention. Don't get overly excited that it holds you up. Do you know excitement sometimes make people don't go forward just as well as fear? Because you left stuck in the excited phase and you're not sure where else to go from there. So this is why
that's interesting.
It can move on. I didn't know it until it happened to me. I remember I was so excited the first time I made a bunch of money. I made about $10,000 in 2 weeks. And I was so excited that I recognized I wasn't doing anything for the other 2 weeks that passed by. Like, I was stuck in this phase of, I just made $10,000. I just made $10,000. I can't believe I made $10,000. I went out on a party. I went to the movies. I was young. I was in my early 20s. I had a party going on. Let me tell you, this money was just in my head and I couldn't get myself moving. For 2 weeks, I recognized. And I was telling my best friend at the time, I'm telling him, I said, you know, Paul, I made some money, but it's going down. He goes, of course it's going down. We haven't been able to buy anything else from you. He goes, girl, you know, you can't party 7 days a week, right?
Okay, there you go.
And we were having a good time, but I used to love him for that. Like I could pass thing by him, and he'd say, "Okay, hold on now, come back down,
Get a grip. Mm-hmm.
let's go with it." And I realized that's true. I watch it happen on the online world. I watch people do a big lunch, make some money, and then they disappear. And then I see when they're crawling back up online because now they're ready to learn something again because that money probably stretched to however far they wanted it to stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're a smart entrepreneur, if you are already learning about yourself and your craft, you understand if you launch something or you got a big client or you got a couple of them, you will take that money and make it stretch for 6 months. And if it's big enough, for a year. So part of your brain starts saying, well, girl, you got enough money for the year. I mean, you work for less than this when you had a job. So you can kind of relax now. What's the big rush? Your brain talks some nonsense to you.
It does. It really does.
Mm-hmm. And you don't realize that you're slowing down until you slow down, until you're dead in your tracks. And then you'll say, oh my gosh, yes, I didn't do anything. And like for my example, I was like, yeah, I had to make my regular, look after my regular customers. And I had some real loyal ones, so they were keep coming. But, the ones who buy whenever, they're not looking for me, and I could have lost a good bunch of clientele because my clientele at the time was, really substantial. So we have to look into those things too when we are getting excited. And that's why the planning and goal, even though that's not what I'm talking about today, is so important. Because when you know the goal you're reaching and you know the goals that you're planning for everything, you can see when I'm on this high, I still have this more to do. Like you have the steps there set out to do. So let's say you craft a really great message. A lot of people are inboxing you and you're on this and you're really feeling happy and going, and people start paying you for your stuff. Don't stop. You might pause and take a break, but don't stop. Okay. You still have to have things for the low hanging fruit. You still have to have things for people to buy from you. You still have to have things happening in the background while you're looking after this great stuff. We have a thing we used to say, I can't remember exactly how it goes, but it really means if you have a large client, it really means don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's the bottom line. So if you have a large client, don't only service that client and forget about other people. And that really means you got to keep your marketing going, which content creation is, which leads to sale. You have to have some sort of a funnel. You got to reach out to people regularly. You have to always be marketing. And sometimes it sounds painful when people say that, but I say, do you see the companies that reach out to you all the time? This is not because they're not doing sales. This is because they have divided so many sections in their business that the marketing people, that's their job. So every day they market because that's what they are paid to do. So they don't slow down because the company made $1.5 million. They don't slow down because the sales this month was, maybe double that. No, they're still doing what they're supposed to do because if they're not doing it, they're not going to have that job. So us as small business owners, we really have to see it that way. That's why on Monday, when BizChicks were talking about, the stuff they were talking about, I really chimed in and talked about being able to know what you're supposed to do and give it names, because when you give it an entity, that's what I want to say. When you give it an entity, when you give it a name, then that girl has to go do the job, right? So if in your sales pipeline, marketing to sales pipeline, Ruth does content creation, Paige does graphics, Karen does reaching out, whatever those people do, that's you right now. When you got nobody, you got to be those people and do that job. And when you're in that mood doing the job,
it reminds me of that commercial where the guy is in his garage and he's answering the phone and he says, "Oh, let me transfer you to customer service." "Hello, this is customer service. How can I help you?" And so because he's wearing every hat in the company.
Yes.
And so when you were talking about the fact that we need to assign these tasks to an individual who's really us.
Yes.
Okay. Then maybe what we need is little avatars and we just become Sybil for a minute and take on all these different personalities so that we can shift our gears
Yes, yes, yeah.
to perform other tasks in the business.
In the business. And we really have to do it. And when you do it, though, I always, I had this friend who said to me, she says, Karen, I just want to have a small company. I don't want to have anybody helping me. I just want to do it myself. Mm. And I always have to breathe for them when they tell me these information because I'm like, girl, now it's you. But it has to be them eventually. And when you understand this, it allows you to systemize. Even if you want to run your own company and you were to do the things I just suggested, then each person would have a system that they do. So even if you find an app that automates this for you, you have written the system. Apps don't help you unless you have a system to plug into them. No matter what they tell you. When you get an app and they say going to do this, this, and that, you get there. And I'm going to just speak for myself. When I didn't know anything about apps and I get there and I'm like, so why isn't it doing it? Oh, because I got to plug this in and I got to plug that in and I got to plug that in. It's calling for the content because it wouldn't know what to do if I didn't give him the information, which means I still have to sit down and write this information so that the app can do its other things. Look at email marketing, right? If I don't write all the 50 emails or 30 emails, whatever email sequence I wanted to write, even though it's automation, I still have to write it, put it in, set up the triggers a day or two so that it can go out to the people. I still have to write it. So same goes with sales, marketing, and running your business. It's really, I feel like the business owner need to run their business well, systemize it, and then become this great marketer and this great closer. You need to be able to close. A client of mine keep asking me, and I'll ask her, she's doing well. She says, kind of just want a sales rep and I'll do better. I'm like, you haven't sold enough yet to hire nobody. What are you going to tell them to go do? You have to have this under your belt so that when you hire the sales rep, you can have this back and forth conversation so that your business will do well. I know you want to just hand it over to somebody good, but they're as good as the person who's giving it, handed it to them. If you remember, and I made this scenario, I said, relay. I had friends used to run. I had a lot of athletes friends. And the starter relay person and the ender are the most important. But you see that girl in the middle, that woman in the middle, that young lady in the middle, she's holding powers at two ends. So if it's 5 people stick pass, and she either didn't grab in time or drop the stick or didn't hand it over in time, that last guy or gal have to run like hell to win
to make up the time. Yeah.
Yes. That's what it is about. You got to know to hand things over. So you can't hand things over to a sales rep and don't give them any instructions and don't inform them. Yes, they do their research. Yes, they find out about your company, but now they're coming to you with knowledge sometimes that you don't even realize that's happening in your company. And you look real silly when you go to talk to them. And you can't have this really great peer conversation with them because you haven't do your due diligence. Now, what does have to do with the craft of the message? All these things are tied into when you sussing out a customer. You have to have that back end ready because you never know when somebody's going to say yes. You just never know, especially when you're new in it. After a while, you know that you have the funnel and you know what's going on. Then you kind of know. But if you're at the beginning, you are just getting the people as they come. You're just taking them. And your job at that moment in time is to start seeing where you're going. It took me such a long time to know who I serve. I'm not going to lie to you. I serve different people, but my core people, it took me a long time to say, I serve single married women. And when I tell a friend that she's dying laughing, I serve single married women because I understand their fight. Single married women who are in business already, saw some success, but is struggling to get over that hump to get to this other place because of all the negativity that's happening in that relationship, all the stuff that came along with stuff that has made them stuck. Those are my people because I know how to help them navigate to wherever they're going to be. It took me a long time to be able to say that because first I'm going to be offensive. I went through my whole spiel in my head to be able to say this clearly who I serve, but I know that I could help them. So I had to get myself and get my wordage correct so that I can, say it. And then when I ask people like putting up their hand, they're like, yes, that's me. Yes, that's me. Because I know they exist, but how would I phrase it to say it for them to put up their hands and say, yes, that's me. And when I look back, Either those people were still in the marriage having a hard time, my first set of people, or they had gone through divorce or what have you. So they're still in that path of people. And I didn't even recognize it. Took me a while to know this. But it's from writing and talking and mingling and doing business with people that, you know, solidify that, Karen, these are the people that you help the best, and they see the best results from you. All right. And it has to be juicy. It just has to be juicy. Nobody buys nothing if it's not juicy. Sorry. People like juicy.
Now, explain to us a little bit about what juicy means.
Juicy makes you, if it's food, it makes you want to eat it. You know, those people, those
appetizing.
Chefs, yes, would just eat it up. Juicy could be, instead of juicy, could be sexy, depending on clothing. And sexy don't always have to be where you're naked. Sexy could be beautiful coverage, like Terralina, you know, cover-ups. It makes the person feel really great. You know, I had a tall friend, but she's short-waisted. So she used to like things like that. You know, it just made her feel flowy, yes, and sexy elegant. Under there, and she didn't have to, you know, expose any part of her body.
Yes.
And so the message would be you talking about that sort of thing. Now, juicy, if it's you were doing productivity, I have this little program coming called Productivity to Profitability, because if you're productive, you become profitable. Now, I have to break that down. Let's say, so I was selling this idea to people that if they're productive, they can be profitable. I have to show them all kind of productivities that is fun to do. So I can't just sell to them, you know, go on the calendar, line everything up and go. That's like stale and dry. Nobody wants to do. I have to poke some fun into what happens. I got to poke in celebration for the wins. I have to poke in puzzles to make them. If people like puzzles, I'll put in puzzles, because puzzle people don't really speak up. Unless you do like Facebook ads, you'll see them. I'm not going to go there, but a whole nother thing. But puzzles, people like word search, those are things I could implement within their books to just jog them. Like, for instance, if you have a workbook for somebody and showing them productivity, in that workbook, you would want to have what I'm talking about. Little puzzles, little pop-up, little games, little things that make them feel that they're having fun and still wanting to do that. The human part of you have to show up. That's why most things I do, I know I'm a coach, but I do a lot of dancing, a lot of cooking, a lot of talking, but a lot of other things, because people chime in because it's so relatable. It really is so relatable.
Yes.
I still know I talk about money. I still find a way to swing money in there, because money by itself is just boring. It's boring if you don't have it, and it's boring if you have a lot of it. So I don't, because you're like, I just want to make money. Like, leave me alone. I just want to make money. Stop telling me my money. So you have to make it juicy enough. So I can get to talk about, you know, I'm cooking this food. Here's how much it costs, if that's the road I was going down at the time. And, you know, it's worth $5 and this is the time it took me. I'm talking about money. Gotcha. They're still enticed and they're still wanting to know. And even if they say nothing in my Facebook, you know, post, they'll inbox me. Gotcha. I tell you, very few times I post a video or anything with food and people hadn't inboxed me to find out. This guy's like, I'm doing a running. I just want to know, I'm eating so-and-so. I like your dishes, la-da-dee-da. How much you think it costs? People ask you stuff because it's relatable. That's what you want in your message, because you want it to lead back to what you talk about. He dinged me for the food. We end up talking. He booked a session with me. He took the coaching with me because he needed to get his mind wrapped around some things. But it's money I talk about, but he got led in through food because that's what attracted him.
Gotcha.
My video. So you got to find your thing that you could grab people with. And that's the juicy part. You got to be, you know, and be grumpy. Sorry, if you're grumpy, go be grumpy outside. And then come back in to do what you got to do. There's a show called The Backyard, something that we have here on TV. And if you want to be on the show, this is what they say, Terry. I read the little part, I couldn't believe it. We only, even if you have the money, we only entertaining. You got to foot the bill yourself for your backyard. If you're happy, you're outgoing, you're fun to be around. Like,
okay.
If not, do not apply. Like they literally stated, don't apply.
We don't want any grumpy people over here in our backyard. Makes sense.
And I was like, I didn't know you could tell people that on a big public show. But yes, that means they had the experience with people who didn't cooperate, who was grumpy, and they're not having it.
And they're looking for upbeat people. They don't.
That's the bottom line. They're looking for upbeat people. And we as business owners, that's what we're looking for too. That's what we're looking for, upbeat people. Here's another, I got a little scenario here to tell you too. Also, if you were reaching out to people, let's say you did the content creation and you're reaching out to people and you're wanting to find out from them, not necessarily that they want to buy your product, but you want to know if they know somebody that want to buy your product. Because this is part of creating all this content. You know, you'll say, hi, Bob. Just wanted to tell you a little bit about what I'm doing these days. We haven't spoken in a while. This is what I'm doing. And I'd really love it if you know anybody that would, you know, be willing or want to use this kind of service once you explain what it is to them. And if so, I have something for you to give them so that you're not only empty-handed, and it works both ways. So maybe you have a coupon or a gift card or something that you're going to send Bob that he can extend to the person that he is reaching out to and telling. Let me tell you, I don't know how many people, anybody who don't love to get a $50, $25 gift card or something just to considering your business. It's not bribe. It's just that you're not asking for anything for free because you would have gone and spent that on an ad anyway to get a client. And if you're reaching out to Bob, you're going to have to know Bob to ask him this stuff, which means you had a back and forth, because to coldly go to Bob, he's not going to do it for you. He's going to say, okay, or he might just take the $25 card. You want to have a relationship. But because you've been crafting your content, because you've been getting ready and getting your business in this mood to sell, this is where you want to go for. This can just be a part of it. This is not the whole thing, but this is just part of it, where you're reaching out to people to do that. The other thing is collaborations. If it wasn't just asking direct, you can see and investigate maybe Bob's service and it coincide you know, with what you have to offer. I used to do, when my cleaning business just started, I was collaborating with a stager. So every time she go to stage a home, I was the cleaning services that she would use, and I paid her a fee. Initially it was just back and forth, and then we end up working out a fee because the work got more, and it was only right for me to pay her a fee. There's people that want to pay her a fee. I didn't have a problem paying her a fee because I was going to use the money. I was running ads anyway. And this was more work for my girls, more steady work, and more because we were now building, and you know, and I could have called a premium fee with those kind of things too, because now we're going into bigger homes. So for me to give her a percentage of that, it felt like it should happen.
All right.
Getting these people. So, you know, that's how we work it out. She got whatever we discussed and we agreed upon, we got, right? And she got it. And she ended up in a little side business. You know, she had she had the plumber, she had the painter, she had an electrician, she had a landscaper, and she put all of us there. So when she got a home to stage, if she see the need for any one of those services, she was able to say, hey, I know a company. And it was never she went in and did it for us. We went and anybody else that our little side gig, we gave her whatever we agreed upon. And, you know, it was not a stream of income in my company. So that's something you want to think. It makes sense.
Collaboration.
Yes, collaboration is good. It just have to be complementary. It can be fighting what you're doing. And that doesn't mean it can be another coach. It just might be a coach, in my case, that's doing something that I can pass on to that coach, because here's my area of expertise, and that coach might be more well suited for this specific thing, like a health coach. You know, although I'm doing this challenge now for weight loss and eating right, by no means I'm a health coach. So if somebody really wants training, I'm going to say, you know, I know 2 health coaches. You might want to check them out. I'm not taking on a client for health reasons, because that's not my forte. I look after money and the mindset.
Yes. Now we have Maureen in here. That's her forte.
Hi, Maureen.
Health and
There
wellness.
you go. Anything for
It's really important to know what you don't do too.
Yes. Because then you want to take everything on, and it's not so. You just don't do it. You guys know I had alteration business for like nearly 9 years, and people come to me, and I said, I had asked a few people, do you sew? So I can send the people to you, because I don't sew for people. I just all do alteration. I am not taking on dressmaking. No. Send it to the dressmaker. There's about a couple of them in our street. Over to the dressmaker, and they appreciate it.
Yeah,
they appreciate it. That, you know,
in the long run, they do.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we are going to recap here. So when we are crafting our message, what should we be doing, Coach?
when you're crafting a message, you really and truly want to sit down, and it's going to take some time. You want to put a timeline on it. You want to see how long you want to do this specific testing, because crafting a message is testing. You know, we hear about the ABC testing. Well, this is testing. And you write a story about yourself and your product or services. You really want to sit there and write a story. And as I said before, if you don't know what a story is and how to get that content together, get a kid's book. I don't even want you to get a novel or a business book. I want you to get a kid's book. And I really want you to go and identify what's exciting in the book. What is the hook? What had you keep going? Mm-hmm. Get a book that can do that for you. And then you see those things. And I promise you, go interject your story, formulate your story. Yes, you're going to be different because you're an adult, but formulate it to suit that. Because it is the most serious person. If a kid did something, will do a little small giggle or something. Kids make you giggle. Kids make you just smile. So that's what books are for. So that's what I want you to bring to your people. That smile on their face, make them want to have a conversation with you. Okay. So this is part of why you're building it this way. At least that's my thing. This is part of why I want you to build it this way. And once you build out that big story, you're going to break them down into chunk sizes for 30 days so that you can share it with people. And that's going to have some of your personal stuff, some of why you're offering what you're offering. Don't be abrupt with it, and really and truly just sift through it and get it organized. And as Terralina said, on the BizChicks, there's Luana.
Yes, Luana Parker.
Luana Parker, who does, this is her forte, because it's a real big subject. I am scratching the surface with what I'm telling you. It is a big subject. It could go really deep, and you could learn a lot of things. And not only could you do it for your business, it could be a side thing that you do for other people's businesses too, if you get good at it. People want it to be crafted in such a way so that you're using their voice. It's like the what they call the ghost writers kind of stuff. Those people make good money. Let me just go. All right.
All right, you heard it. They make good money.
And you just decide where you want to get your message to be, and don't worry with who is on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Don't worry where they're at. You start wherever you decide to start. If Facebook is your people, Facebook you start. Then you move to Instagram, but make sure wherever you're going, I say start off with 2. So you got something to measure it against. Say start off with 2. Both of them, 30 days straight. That's your marker. I really love a 90-day stretch, but 30 days will give you some indication of where you're going and where to go next. And if you get excited and everything work out in the first 30 days, do not stop.
There you go. That's good advice.
Do not stop.
You have success. Yes. Success should not stop you in your tracks. Okay, guys.
That's what I have for you today.
We want to thank Coach Karen for talking about how to craft our message. Some major suggestions how to get started. I always like the idea of a children's book, Coach, because it sort of breaks it down for us.
Yes.
So that we can wrap our mind around it without having to learn a lot of extra vocabulary.
Yes.
Because every industry has its own technical language. So we thank you for that pointing us in that direction. So guys, I want you to remember that Coach Karen is available if you're looking for someone to help you with your business or to help you with your personal finances. You want to talk to Coach Karen. She runs the Money Mindset Academy, and she can be found over on Profits In Daily. And I don't think I put in the banner there because I want you guys to spell this right. I don't know. Here we go. Profits In Daily with Coach Karen Fern, and that is Karen with a C.
Yes. Okay. And without sales, you can't make any money. Without sales, you can't make money. Your business has to continuously be marketing and selling. You don't have to close every day, but you got to be marketing and selling every day.
All right, guys, you heard it here. You need to be selling every day, bringing in those profits in daily.
Daily, yes.
Daily. You can find her on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and other social medias. Look for Coach Karen, the Money Mindset Academy. Follow her. We want to thank you. We want you to know that she is a trusted source. So
Thank
with that,
you.
Coach, if you want to say anything before I close.
No, we're good. I will say for the next 3 weeks, we're talking about advertising. We're talking a
Mhm.
little bit about capturing the leads, and we're talking about nurturing them, because all these are just important things to follow along and do, to keep you going. And I'm probably going to do a little PDF and give it to Terry so she can drop it, so
Share it out.
something
Okay.
to go with.
This sounds like such a blessing, guys. I want you to remember to go to the front of your own
Mhm.
line. Tomorrow we'll be talking with Ramen Shimizu and friends about your happy, healthy habits. So with that, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Thank you again, Coach. We
You're
love you
welcome.
and appreciate you. All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye-bye.